Hello, everyone! Welcome to another live interview session here at the PAME Code Facebook group Season of Grit and Resilience. I'm Emmy, your host, and today our very special guest is a fantastic mom of three gorgeous boys and an entrepreneur. She's the founder of Women Who Dare to Desire, and she's the creator of a writing club for entrepreneurs so they can write creatively and connect with their audience with ease. And she's here with us today to share her story about bouncing back and, especially when she was ready to give up. So I'm really excited. I'm really optimistic that we'll learn so much from her story. She'll be an absolute inspiration. So without further ado, let's all welcome Debora Luzi. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Emmy. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you there in London?
Very, very good. I was just, I feel really good because I just went on a 1.5 hour bicycle ride. So I feel really refreshed and full of energy.
Fantastic. And I'm really excited to hear about your story because you're all about bouncing back, you're all about resilience, and I'm sure we can learn so much from your experience. So tell us a little bit about your story. What sort of difficulties did you face in your life and how did you find the strength to bounce back?
Okay. So, I think I started to bounce back since I was probably 12. It's been a bit of a bouncing back journey that I had because I had a kind of tough upbringing in a way because both my parents were not really emotionally available. They went through a phase that they were both alcoholic, so it was really difficult. So I kind of grew up a little bit by myself, not really, just being very independent. And I left Italy at the age of 18 to come to this country. And my first big bounce back was when I married, and my marriage was absolutely terrible. I had so many problems, and it was really like a nightmare marriage. And then I fell pregnant when we went traveling, and I was already know that I was going to become a single mother. And I remember I was traveling and I was like 4 months pregnant and I was climbing mountains, and my ex already said, oh, I don't want anything to do with you, with the child. So I came back to London with no job because I was traveling. I had no job. I was sleeping pregnant on a friend's floor, Emma. And all of my friends, I feel a bit emotional here, but all of my friends were like, nobody will ever give you a job. And I remember crying and crying and crying. And I was, one thing's about me, when people tell me I cannot do something, it gives me actually more energy, Emma, to do things. So I was just, I really didn't know what to do. I couldn't go back to Italy, and my ex was just not available, and we had already decided to split up. And I just had to go out and find a job, and it was really hard. But I mean, it was hard, but that really my big bounce back from this situation, from sleeping on the floor, from already divorcing. I actually found 3 jobs in the space of 2 months, and I was pregnant. And after my second job, I remember I was hiding that I was pregnant because I was scared. It was just as a receptionist. And then I was always wearing a poncho, these kind of Mexican style things to make me, not to show my belly. And then one of the managers found out one day, and she whispered to the manager, I think Deborah, she's pregnant. So I thought they were going to kick me out, and they didn't. The manager actually really loved me, so she offered me a job in the office doing events and marketing. So then I stopped. Obviously, I moved into my, I rented a place. Obviously, I had a job. I didn't have any help whatsoever from the dad. So I found myself a flat with my little one. And then after about 2 years, I managed to buy my own flat, and I divorced. It was a bit difficult. I mean, it was a big roller coaster, but I managed to divorce, and I actually married again. And I'm very happily married now. I managed to divorce. I got my own apartment, and I actually got a promotion. So it was a big bounce back from, if I show you a picture of that time, I looked 10 years older than I look now. Because it was very, very painful. It was a very difficult time in my life, and I just thought I wasn't going to make it, but I think my son saved my life completely. Yeah, that's my first bounce back.
What do you mean when you say your son saved your life? What do you mean by that?
Because obviously I was pregnant, and when my son was born, I was a little bit depressed, and because I was going through this divorce, and it was very difficult to divorce, and I was alone in this country. But if it wasn't for my son, I probably would have never got off bed. I had to get up to feed him, to take him, to play with him. So, and that's why I always say he saved my life, because that's what I had to do.
It gave you the reason to live, really.
He gave me the reason to live, and to do, really to bounce back, because it wasn't just me. It wasn't just about me and May. It was about me and him.
I see. Because I think for some people, when they're going through that really difficult, rough patch, when they move their purpose just out of themselves, you're not just doing this for your own sake. There are actually other people depending on you getting on to your 2 feet and getting on with what you have to do. It is a really strong motivator. And then I can see that happening in your case.
Absolutely, I mean, 100%. Yeah, it's really like you do it for something bigger than you. It's just not about you anymore. So
That's brilliant. So that's your first bounce. I can see that must have been a really difficult time. Would you consider that your lowest point, or did you have another low point than that?
that was, I think, one of my lowest, yes. Especially because, I was in love with this man, and I was very young, and I was alone in this country. So it was really, and it was much more about, there was a betrayal inside. It was a lot of different things. So, I remember taking a picture of myself when I, took the decision, and it just doesn't look like me. It was, I think it was a very, very low point in my life. I
And
didn't think that I was going to.
it wasn't just an overnight bouncing back, was it? How much time did it take for you to pick yourself up from that situation?
It was, to be honest, it was like little daily doses. I mean, it was little daily doses, because, you just don't, after being like that, you don't just wake up and you feel amazing. And the daily doses were given by my little one. Obviously, I had to cook for him. I had to get up of bed. I had to stop crying, and I had to, go and work. So it was something really, really gradual. I would say like little steps every day. And then what helped me a lot, I started to go into like gentle. That was the beginning of my self-development, because I knew, Emma, that a lot of the stuff that I was, the way I attracted these men were things that were going on in my childhood. So I started to realize all this pattern, and I started to, read books. I'm full of books of like anxiety, and, at the time I started to read books, to go to meditation. I did some spiritual healing. So gentle, I was really going, I had to change.
It was a gentle transition for you, and it is amazing because having gone through a difficult childhood and a difficult early adulthood, you didn't get stuck in that position, and you found a way to improve yourself, really go through personal development, and this is what you are doing now, because you've gone through that process, you're helping others to pick themselves up again. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I had other, I mean, bounce back in my life. And when I started my business, I was an events and marketing manager in the same place that they find out I was pregnant. So I stayed there for 10 years. And then I wasn't treated really well. And I mean, they were amazing with me, but there were moments where I wasn't treated very well. And I didn't like what I was doing. I was really, really low. And then I fell pregnant with my twins, and obviously and I was married, but a lot of memory came back because I raised my son alone. So I was like, what about if this marriage doesn't work and I'm going to be alone with three children and twins?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of went again in a little bit of, depressive mode. But again, gently picking up myself again. And then I remember, wanted to leave, and I was so furious. I wanted to go to my boss and tell him all the bad things, and then I found an advert for coaching. So I started to study, and I really started to change my life. And I started to go into spiritual. I started to take courses, and really, really, it started with me because I believe that I need to be the leader of what I teach. So my business at the beginning was I helped women with trauma, with bouncing back, really difficult situation. And then because my business was going really well, I was given lots of advices. So I shifted, and now I help female entrepreneurs to actually grow their business, helping them to bounce back, to be more resilient, to follow their intuition more. Um, and yeah, so this is
It's
it.
amazing to see your journey in that way. For being someone who struggled, you pick yourself up, you develop, you learn yourself, and to offer it back to people who might need that kind of support and that kind of help is really amazing. So if there are people who are in their very low point in their lives right now, who are ready to give up, who are quite desperate, what advice would you give to them, if they're listening right now?
Okay. My biggest advice, Amy, that I would give them is go for a walk, really detach from like anything, absolutely anything. You need to take some time for yourself. Start to really nurture yourself. That's really, really important. And always, like you mentioned before, think about yourself and other people and why you're doing. For example, if you're a woman in business, why you do what you do. You really need to have a strong power to detach from all this negativity, and I listen a lot of like positive audio all the time. I cycle and I listen to Esther and Jerry Hicks, Louise Hay. I do that all the time. And I have what I do, Amy, I have a list of things that I do that help me to bounce back. So actually my biggest advice would be for anybody to prepare before they bounce back, like before being in that, oh my God, this is terrible, to really prepare and make like a list of things that they can do to bounce back. So for example, my list is dancing. It's go for a walk, meditate, listen to Louise Hay and Hester Hicks, and really connect to my why, to my audience. And also look at my children. It's on my list as well. I hug my children, and when I look at them, it's like I can't give up because I want to teach you to be resilient. So I can't give up. So that's a strong motivator for me. So absolutely make a list of everything that can help you to bounce back.
That's amazing. That's a really good piece of advice, because every person is unique, and something that might work for you might not work for someone else. And as far as you're concerned, your children, that's enough. They are a good enough motivator for you to pick yourself up and move on. And then on top of that, you can go for a walk, do your physical, exercise, meditation, and so on. But for some people, having that list of what could work for them might be useful. It might be they need to learn how to manage their stress or manage their time, But the point that you're making is create a list of what might work for you, plan ahead, and then go ahead
Before,
and bounce back.
yeah. And also don't use that list only when you're like in that situation. Establish yourself a routine, and I cannot stress it how important it is, because it used to take me a week, like a long time to bounce back. Now, Emmy, it's fast because I have a routine in place. I don't meditate only when I need to bounce back, but I meditate every day. I dance every day, and things like that. So make a list and really start doing these things every day so that when you get actually the difficult situation, it's not going to be that difficult because you're trained already.
Yeah, it's become natural for you. It's
Yeah,
it's not too onerous anymore. It's like, it's so difficult. I have to bounce back. It's almost a natural thing. It's like, okay, something
exactly.
comes ahead, comes along, and you just, yeah, okay, I can handle this. This is fine.
And always, there is one big thing that I need to share, and we have to finish soon. I have grown a massive trust in the universe, in myself, and in the things that happens to me. So when a difficult situation comes to me, I'm not like, oh, why this has happened? What is it? I'm a little bit like Pollyanna, the girl in the cartoons. I trust so, and I had to build this trust. It took me time. I trust so much because, like I always say, that divorce was the biggest blessing of my life. Amy was absolutely the biggest thing. So now I see when something bad happened, I'm like, what is the good coming out of it? And that really helps me to bounce
it's
back.
it's trusting and having the faith in the universe that whatever happens in your life, it's all part of a bigger purpose that maybe we don't understand right now, but sooner or later you'll see the bigger picture and where that fits in your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Amy.
Fantastic. Thank you, Deborah. If people
You're
want to
welcome.
get in touch with you and if they want to learn more about you or if they want to work with you, how can they reach out?
They can join my group, which is called Women Who Dare to Desire on Facebook. They can go on my website, www.deboraluzi.com. Just find me on Facebook. I'm the woman with a hat, really big hat. You can find me and just reach out. I also have, like you mentioned, a writing club for entrepreneur, which is growing and really to connect, to help entrepreneur to really connect to the audience in a better way. So yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Amy. I just enjoyed it really a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deborah. And I'm sure people will, really connect to your message. And I hope those who need to listen to this message will reach out and ask for support if they need more support.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.
And you too. Bye for
And
now.
bye, everybody that is watching.
Bye. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye, Amy.